Welcome back to my channel where we are doing three things together. We are learning, we are growing, and we are evolving so that we can have a clearer, happier, more peaceful experience with ourselves and with our relationships past the anxiety, right? That's what we're here for. And today I want to dive into the roots of this channel, and that is medication, right? The whole basis of this channel came off of sharing practices and tools that I was using to support myself and give myself structure when I was off of medication and when I was getting off of medication. And if you don't know me, my name is Marcello. I was on Zoloft, aka Sertraline, from 2014 to 2016. I have not been on it since. And through the other videos that I have shared on my platform around these tools and practices, I have still a lot of conversations about one thing that concerns a lot of people still, and that is side effects. Side effects going on to take the medication, and also side effects in the withdrawal with getting off of the medication. And I only have experience with Zoloft, aka Sertraline. Sertraline is just like the generic name for Zoloft. Zoloft is the brand name. This is the only SSRI that I have experience with. And I want to share that experience with you and answer all of these frequently asked questions in one place. Because I know how frightening it could be to be going on to this medication. I had a lot of those same reservations and fears when I was going on to the medication, when I was in my first couple months of the medication, and even when I was coming off. I had probably the same amount of fears when I was coming off. But anyway, to dive right into the content, the first question that I get asked the most frequently is, did I gain weight while on Zoloft, aka Sertraline? I was 175 pounds when I started. I know that because I remember being at the gym and continuously weighing myself when I was working out. And when I got off of medication, I was maybe 180 pounds. I'm still 180 pounds today. And that dives into the fact that we are all, of course, different. We all have a different genetic makeup, different metabolism, and so we will respond to this medication differently. In my experience, I spend a lot of time and energy focusing on my physical health and trying to live a healthy lifestyle. I try to eat well, I try to sleep well, hydrate myself, and get physical exercise to meet those physical needs and have a resilient, healthy body. Because a healthy body can translate to a healthier, more resilient mindset and mind. So as far as food goes, I eat a whole foods, plant-based diet. I'm 100% that direction now, also known as vegan. And I was weaning off of the meat and dairy products during that time in 2014 and 2016. So I'm eating whole vegetables, potatoes, beans, all seeds, all of these things that are whole foods compared to their counterparts, which is all processed foods. So I like to live by the motto of, if my great-great-grandmother wouldn't recognize it as food, then it's not food. It's instead just like this cacophony, this symphony of different chemicals and ingredients put together. So I try to stay away from processed foods as much as possible and eat nutritious whole foods. As far as sleep goes, sleep is super underrated. Sleep is a great period of our day where we undergo rejuvenation for better physical health and for better mental health. I know that when I'm getting 6 hours of sleep compared to 8 hours of sleep, my mental performance is extremely noticeable. It's very significant, the difference. As far as hydrating myself, I know that when I'm dehydrated, I can't think as clearly. I'm just not operating as well as I normally would. And with physical exercise, this doesn't have to be lifting weights and having a rigorous workout routine. It could be as simple as going on a walk every day or a jog. These are all the things I do to keep a nice physical body, like a healthy, resilient, strong physical body, right? It's really important, and I believe that really helped me not to gain weight when I went on to Zoloft. Okay, so maybe you want to try these things, do some research on your own to help mitigate that fear. Otherwise, our second side effect that I get asked about all the time is an uncomfortable one for most people, but it's important to talk about because it is something that all humans do, right? And that is, did Zoloft, or aka sertraline, affect your sex life? Aka, did it affect your libido? Unfortunately, it did affect my libido in a significant way. It reduced my sex drive, and it also reduced my ability to actually finish in sex, which is really challenging. It's a really challenging social experience, especially when I am, for myself, going into freshman year of college where sex plays a part and I'm in this entirely new social experience, right? And when we can't physically connect with our significant other or maybe another partner that we are seeing, this can play a role in our mental health as well, because sex is one of those core human needs, right? To connect with that other person in a physical way. And the way that I mitigated this side effect, right, is number one, I brought it to my psychiatrist. That fear, because it's really important to be having a continuous conversation about how we are feeling and how we want to be feeling with our psychiatrist so that they can help us. Now, my psychiatrist told me that if I know I'm going to have sex, let's say on Wednesday night, then on Tuesday, I'm going to skip my medication. Then after I have sex on Wednesday night, I'm going to take that medication. And this goes into the half-life of Zoloft, and it reduces the amount of that compound, that chemical in your system, which reduces your libido. And so this allows you to have a better sexual performance and just a better experience overall. And this really did help me, right? And I encourage you not to just take this for what it's worth, but have this conversation with your doctor, whoever's providing you the medication, because this is not medical advice. This is just me sharing the experience, but it did help me. Now, number 3, this is not one specific side effect, but rather just a group of some physical side effects that I am frequently asked about, and some of them I did experience. And that is number 1, headaches, number 2, nausea, and number 3, fatigue, just feeling tired. I did experience headaches. I experienced headaches only when I was going from 75 milligrams of Zoloft, aka sertraline, up to 100 milligrams of Zoloft, aka sertraline. When I went up to 100 milligrams, I had a headache kind of at the crown of my head and in my forehead area. And they were really intense to the point where I couldn't really go about my normal day. And when I shared that with my psychiatrist, they took me down back to 75 milligrams and that stuff disappeared. I did not experience significant side effects, significant headaches like that ever again throughout my 2-year experience with Zoloft. As far as nausea goes, I did experience a bit of nausea only in the beginning, maybe within the first month or 2 of going on to the medication. And then this kind of just disappeared. And as far as fatigue goes, I really didn't experience any fatigue. And if I did, it kind of got just mixed into the minutia of normal daily life, just maybe thinking that I was tired. One really important thing to share with you along these lines is that the benefits of Zoloft, aka sertraline, or just SSRIs in general, is they can take up to 6 to 8 weeks to really show their benefits, to really start to reduce that anxiety. Whereas their side effects can show up almost immediately, right? As soon as we start taking this medication. And I learned this through my own research, as well as when I was studying psychology, that the SSRIs do take time to really kick in. And I encourage you to do your own research and, kind of come up with a confluence of independent resources that can tell you the truth, right? The more independent resources pointing to the same conclusion, typically that result has more validity. So I encourage you to do your own research. But otherwise, moving from going onto the medication now to coming off of the medication. Now, I did this 2 times. The first time was about 1 year after first going on the medication. So I was basically 1 year in, and I decided to come off the medication because I thought that the tools and the practices that I was learning would support me. I was a bit premature, and I did have to go back on. And then after the second year, I tried again to come off the medication, and I was successful. I have now been off of the medication since that day in 2016. I had no significant side effects when I was coming off of the medication, off of Zoloft, which I am extremely grateful for. But it was because, number one, I was having the conversation with my psychiatrist. Number two, it was because I came off very slowly, right? I reduced the amount that I was taking to 50 milligrams for a couple months, then to 25 milligrams for a month, then to 12.5 milligrams for another month, so that I slowly came off, like a plane slowly landing on a runway, right? If the plane just came straight down, it would crash. But when it comes slowly down, it has a smooth landing, okay? And this experience also gave me the ability that when I was on that small amount of Zoloft, like small 12.5 milligrams, and maybe some anxiety came up because I wasn't on as much Zoloft, it allowed me to use the tools and the practices that I was learning and that I continue to practice today to like really work with that anxiety and see if what I was learning was working. And I was still being supported by a little bit of Zoloft at the same time. And this allowed me to acclimate both mentally and physically to not being on the medication anymore. And I found extreme benefit in this. Again, I was supported by my doctor at the time, and also through this whole period, I was creating my own support system with a proper therapist and with other people who I know who have been successful at moving through anxiety and getting to this place where they're much happier with themselves and in a much happier, much more self-confident oriented place, right? I hope that this can be of extreme benefit to you. I know that it could seem really lonely or feel really lonely when we are embarking on this healing journey. However, you are not alone. Many other people are going through the same things. They're just not talked about. You could see from the amount of people that watch my Why I Love Zoloft video and just the amount of people researching this stuff in general, right? And one thing I want to make really clear is that I am not bashing Zoloft or medication in any way. I just didn't want to be dependent on it, right? I wanted to create a support system where I had that confidence in myself, in those tools to work through things on my own. And Zoloft helped me get there because Zoloft takes some of that pressure off and some of that anxiety away so that we have a higher mental capability to be learning these tools like cognitive behavioral therapy, meditation, getting the benefits out of yoga, breath work, and really making progress to heal this conditioning or this trauma or wherever this anxiety is coming from. So if this was beneficial to you, just soak it in, and also feel free to check out any of my other videos. If you feel so called, share it with another person who you think could benefit. Maybe share a like down below or even subscribe, because this allows me to get these messages on mental health out to more people. And the more people who are working with themselves to be more at peace, be happier, the better the environment that we are living in. Right? Because it becomes a domino effect. Other people see your peace and they want a piece of your peace. You know what I mean? It becomes a domino effect. I wish you the absolute best on your journey, and I look forward to seeing you either in the comments down below, sharing your experience or asking a question, or maybe on my social media links, or maybe even my website where I'm beginning to hold classes and I have a whole little library of other resources. You could find those links down below. I wish you the absolute best in the rest of your day or a very wonderful night's sleep, because that's really important. I wish you the best in your journey.